So the Vivo V29, it was launched on 4th October 2023 and it is priced at around 500 euros, and it's a very reasonable phone for the price, and much credit goes to its cameras, and that is exactly what I will be talking about in this video, the camera prowess of the Vivo V29. So on the rear, V29 has a triple camera setup, a 50 megapixels primary camera with OIS, a 8 megapixels ultra wide angle sensor, and a 2 megapixels depth sensor. Similarly, on the front, it has a 50 megapixels selfie camera, a Samsung sensor with autofocus. So the camera sensors are not the only highlight of the V29. It also has Aura Light System 2.0. So this is actually an upgraded version of the Aura Light, and it was also present on the Vivo V27. The 2.0 upgrade brings the ability to change the temperature, so you can now use warmer and much more stronger light. So the ring light over here, you can see it actually mimics what a ring light does to give that soft light effect on your face. So does the Aura Light system work? Well, let's check it out. So let's take a look at some of these portrait photos. So these portrait photos are shot with different Aura Light settings. So the first one is a normal one, and then this is with a white Aura Light. Then this next one is with warmer Aura Light settings. And the subject was at a distance of 4 to 5 feet from the mobile phone when we are shooting this picture. So that's why you can see that there is no real difference between these three pictures because of the distance between the phone and the subject, and there was plenty of ambient lighting. That's why you can see that all of the faces in these pictures have the same face tone. Now these pictures are shot outdoors and probably from a foot distance between the subject and the mobile phone, and that's why you can see real difference between these pictures even in adequate lighting. So the left one was shot with white Aura Light setting, the middle one with yellowish Aura Light, and the right one with extreme red Aura Light setting, and that's why you can see the difference between the face tone in each of these pictures. Now next up, these pictures are shot indoors with low ambient lighting, and that's why you can easily notice difference between these pictures with that fill light settings. But will I use this feature, the Aura Light 2.0? Well, yes, if the conditions are right, in low light conditions like this, I think it helps you get that even tone on the face. Likewise, you can also get that moody kind of vibe with the warmer fill light settings. So in certain conditions, it is definitely useful. So that was all about the Aura Light portrait, but how good are the portraits actually? Well, really good, because the background blur looks really good of the V29 and the subject separation is on 0.2. Well, it might struggle with some complex objects like the hair strand, but 99% of the time it does really good job, and the portraits are really good. Likewise, it takes good portraits of the subjects as well. In this case, take a look at this example. It takes good portrait of the plant, but in this next one of the motorcycle, the portrait is not that good. Alright, with the portraits done, let's take a look at some normal photos from the main sensor. So Vivo has actually shifted from a Sony sensor to a Samsung sensor on the V29. So V27 had a IMX766 sensor, whereas the V29 has a Samsung 50 megapixel sensor, and the V27 was actually a really good camera phone, and the V29 does it marginally better than the V27. So the photos from the main sensor are lively with saturated and vivid colors. The sharpness is on point and there is no visible noise. The contrast is on the higher side though, and the dynamic range is also wide. And now these are default 12.5 megapixel photos, and you can also capture 50 megapixel photos, but they do not necessarily capture more detail, though they have less contrast and more noise. Alright, moving on to the ultra wide camera, it has an 8 megapixels ultra wide camera, which is not the sharpest for the price, but it captures good details in the center, and you can notice noise on the edges and there is not enough detail. But overall the ultra wide photos are good, but there is one complaint here because it does not have autofocus, so you cannot capture macro photos with the ultra wide cameras. Alright, now let's move on to some night shots. Now there is a dedicated night mode, but it captures long exposure shots in auto mode when it detects low light. So I did not find it necessary to use the dedicated night mode while I was using this phone. The night shots are actually excellent. It retains the colors and captures good details. The exposure is well balanced and the picture looks sharp. The dedicated night mode brings marginal difference though, but most of the time you won't notice any differences between the auto mode and the night mode. Now the ultra wide shots are actually good in low light as well. The detail is fine and the colors are good as well, and it actually has a really great dynamic range and the pictures look sharp. The night mode though helps a bit more in the ultra-wide photos compared to the main sensor. The night mode helps bring more detail in the shadows, and overall the V29 does really well in the low light situations. Alright, with the photos from the rear camera done, now let's take a look at the front camera. So it has a 50 megapixels front sensor, which is different than the one used on the V27. V27 also had a 50 megapixel sensor. So on the front now it uses a wider lens than the V27, which allows Vivo to implement different zoom levels like 0.8x, 1x and 2x. So the front camera captures good pictures, there's good detail on the face, and the overall sharpness is also good. The skin tone is natural and the colors are pleasing. The dynamic range is wide too. Plus it also has autofocus, so subjects are always on focus. Likewise, the wide field of view helps you capture group selfies as well, and it's a very good selfie camera and it does pretty well in low light as well. So take a look at these low light selfies. So the face has good sharpness, there's even lighting on the face as well, and you can also use the front aura light system, which actually lights up a screen with white light. So yes, the selfie camera also does a very good job in low light settings as well, and you can also capture portraits from the front camera, which are nice too. You can see that the background blur is nice and the subject separation is good as well. So the overall selfie camera of the V29 is impressive. Alright, now let's take a look at the videos from the Vivo V29. So the V29 can capture 4K 30 FPS and 1080p at 60 FPS videos from the main camera, and the same is true for the selfie camera as well, but the ultra-wide camera is capped at 1080p 30 FPS. Also, the stabilization is available on all the three sensors, but the selfie camera will switch to 1080p 30 when the stabilization is turned on. In daylight, the V29 captures excellent videos from the main camera. It is sharp and the detail is plenty good. The edges look a bit dull, but the dynamic range and the contrast are good. Also, the stabilization works well as well. You will get smooth panning when shooting still shots. Likewise, if you start walking, you'll notice some shaking, but it's minimal. And as expected, the ultra-wide has better stabilization than the main camera. Moving on to the front camera, it captures good videos as well. There's enough detail and the video is sharp. The color is lively, similar to that of the main camera, but the stabilization is not as good. In 4K, the camera shake is pretty bad. Stabilization is satisfactory at 1080p though. And you can also capture 50 megapixel selfies from the front camera, but there's not much difference in detail between normal and high resolution photos. Alright, now let's talk about the camera UI, and it is pretty simple on the V29. So the modes are arranged in carousel formation, and you can switch by tapping or simply swiping, and you can also get more modes by tapping on the more option. Likewise, you can also add these modes to the main UI by simply tapping over here. So now let's talk about some extra features, camera features of the V29. So first, there's micro movie. So in this mode, there are some effects that you can apply and you can create videos with music. It's basically a Reels editor. Next up, there's dual view. So in this mode, you can capture from both rear and front camera simultaneously, but you can only capture at 1080p 27 fps. And moving on, there's pro mode as well. And in pro mode, you can adjust the focus distance, white balance, ISO, shutter speed and exposure. Likewise, you can also shoot raw photos with the pro mode. So that was all about the cameras of the Vivo V29, and it has good set of cameras. The ultra wide is good, the main camera is good. Likewise, the front camera is also excellent on the Vivo V29. The main camera is, I think, one of the best, and it captures really good portrait photos. Likewise, the front camera also does good. I think the 8 megapixels ultra wide is the only sensor I think that is not the best for the price, but overall the V29 is one of the best camera phone you can get for the price, but it does get a stiff competition from the likes of the Honor 90. So this was our camera review of the Vivo V29. If you have any questions regarding the Vivo V29, let us know in the comments down below. And for further more videos like this, do not forget to subscribe us and hit that bell icon as well. See you on the next one.